Welcome to Destination 101, the podcast of Toastmasters District 101. Take a ride with us on Highway 101 and discover Toastmasters clubs from Silicon to Surf, clustering along Highway 101 in California. Yeah, how many times can I say 101, right? Well, find out about District 101 news, tips, and events, and hear from members and clubs. I'm your host, Birgit Starmanns. Welcome, everyone, to our third podcast of Destinations 101. And we're super lucky today to be joined by Rita Barber. She's a DTM squared, and she's also past district governor. And today we're going to abandon all standard operating procedure of what we've done to date in the podcast. And I don't have a bio for her, so I'm going to ask her to actually introduce herself, which is very uncharacteristic of Toastmasters. Rita, take it away.
All right. Thank you very much, Birgit. So, in two shakes of a lamb's tail, as my daughter would put it, I am a Toastmaster. That's the most important thing. And I've been a Toastmaster coming 11 years this month. The end of this month, it'll be 11 years. Amazing. I went to India to think about it, came back and said, yep, I'll do it. And one of the reasons why is because I've met so many people that were impressive in my club. Little did I know that I would meet so many people outside of my club in Toastmasters that are so impressive. One of the people happens to be this lady over here who's thinking she's just doing the interviewing when I actually have a few questions that I would like to ask Birgit. For one thing, before I turn over a question to her, I just want to share with you. I've known Birgit for as long as I've been part of the District Executive Council. She was our PRO back when I was an area governor, and she just did things that were incredible. She would do things and come up with ideas and themes and everything that were fun. They were catchy. People liked them. We would remember them. I just figured what she did is what every PRO does, or PRM as they're known now. The reality of it is that we were particularly blessed to have her as our PRO, and she just does it. I mean, it just comes out of her. It's a very interesting process that she has, but there's more to her than that. And this gets to the part where I want you guys in District 101 to know more about our PRM, Birgit, as the human that she is, and as a point of inspiration, I think, to so many of us, which I think we can all use to a certain point or another.
I think you're going to make me cry now first. Thank you, Rita. I'm supposed to be interviewing you.
Yeah, well, every once in a while we like to do it a little bit different, and it'll be fun and it'll be good.
Yeah, welcome to my world.
Largely
a little bit different.
Yeah. So give us a little bit of your journey so far. You are the hero of your journey. Give us a little bit on your journey.
Well, first of all, thank you for being here, because I thought I was going to be interviewing you. Never mind. But I joined Toastmasters in 2006. So it's actually been a while. Here we are in 2021. I almost said 2020. Oops. And I found that Toastmasters really has been a family to me. And that's something that I really appreciate. So it's not just this meeting that I went to once a week, or as I joined more clubs, this meeting that I went to multiple days in a week, but it really became a family to me, with a lot of friends that supported me throughout the way. There are a lot of fun things. And just after listening to you talk, I just remember some little PR initiatives that we did the year that Toastmasters International had their international conference in Vegas. So we did this little Vegas baby scripts and cards and videos and everything dealing with the Vegas theme, which I think went over really well. So I've always enjoyed putting a little bit of fun into Toastmasters. But one of the reasons I really appreciate this Toastmasters family is because 12 years ago, you really helped me through a tough time. And that was when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I didn't tell anybody at work at the time, just because I didn't want to be known as that sick person, right? I went and had a procedure and actually went back to work after 5 weeks or something like that after the surgery. But people in Toastmasters knew. And in a way, it was very helpful to me to just be able to immerse myself in something, because I know myself, it's not healthy for me to sit at home and worry and watch my toenails grow, as I like to say at the time. And Toastmasters gave me something to really get involved in. And the PRO opportunity came up, which was really awesome because PR is something that I really love. I really enjoy it. Yeah, I do marketing in my day job, but here I kind of got to be out there a little bit more and especially try things in social media that on a corporate level we weren't really doing at the time. We are now, but at the time we weren't. And actually, District 4 wasn't doing that either. And that was before District 4 and 101 split up. So it was interesting though because it was really helpful to have people to talk to, and people would call and check in on me. But I literally did 4 trainings for VPPRs the first week that I had chemo, and I was exhausted, and I just blamed it all on chemo. And yeah, even my mother said, "Well, you do realize that you're, off doing training for 3 or 4 hours a night. Maybe that has something to do with it." But it helped me focus on something, bring my attention elsewhere, and just the support that I got from Toastmasters members was so incredible. I mean, they let me talk about it. They talked about something else if I said I don't really want to talk about it right now. You were the first people to see me with like the really super short hair that I came out with after I stopped wearing a wig. Yeah, all those things. And it was so incredibly special to me to really have a Toastmasters family that I could really rely on.
Yeah, and your journey continued from there.
You're going to make me talk about this, aren't you?
Well, I am, and then I'm going to point out a couple of things that I think the average listener would love to know about you above and beyond that.
Okay,
But go
so
ahead.
the medical drama continues 12 years later. And so last year, yeah, as you know, Rita, I'm actually a ballroom dancer outside of work, and I've been competing. And so it's something that I am so super passionate about. And so dancing keeps finding its way into my speeches, hopefully in different with different slants and different angles. But after a dance competition in Hawaii last year, and that was in end of September, and came home, and the next week I just remember, I actually don't remember much about that week. I was just always cold and tired and freezing, and I just remember the last thing of wrapping myself up in the blanket and waking up in the hospital in ICU. So apparently I was unconscious, and my dance instructor, and I consider him a member of my family, he was wondering why I wasn't responding. So he basically moved heaven and earth, tried to find people who knew me, friends, colleagues. He found out who my boss was, and basically initiated a chain of events that had somebody call the chief of police in Mountain View to break in, and I was unconscious. Turns out I had meningitis.
Hmm.
And so another 6 to 12 hours, and that would have been it, according to the Stanford doctors. So I was very great. I'm very grateful to David for literally saving my life, and that I was taken to Stanford. And yeah, after 6 weeks of hospital slash rehab, I went back home. And the story doesn't end there. And after that, the rehab at home was going well, until it didn't. And all of a sudden, within just 2 or 3 days, I couldn't catch my breath. I could only walk about 2 steps up a staircase without having to sit down and catch a breath, and I couldn't really take a break for 5 minutes before I could do the next 2 steps. So I go to urgent care at Stanford, right outside of Stanford. They directed me to the hospital, and within an hour, I was checked into ICU talking to a heart surgeon about open heart surgery. So apparently, I had some bacteria grow on my aorta, which was literally pushing blood backwards. So here I sit with a titanium aorta and a couple of valve repairs. And it's interesting because I was so scared before that surgery. Just like I was in the hospital the night before. What the heck am I doing here? But I woke up and I was just so motivated, and my mind was so sharp because after meningitis, I mean, it's a brain infection. I was speaking very slowly and deliberately. And all of a sudden, after the heart surgery, I was just back and raring to go and let's go in 2020. So, no matter what you say about 2020, hey, I'm alive. So, that's really important to me. And yeah, diving first head first again into continuing my ballroom dance journey. But all of a sudden, here I am getting way back involved in Toastmasters now in District 101, which is amazing, and reconnecting with people like you, Rita, and just a lot of other friends, and Tony and Sherry and Kat and Mike, and you name it, long list. So, but I'm really grateful to be here, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
And you're writing a book.
I am. I am, because truth is stranger than fiction. So I've gone through three different ways to structure this, because I don't want this to be one of those books that says, and then this happened, and then this happened, because that's just boring. So right now I'm kind of collecting topics, and it's going to be a series of essays on that whole experience of how Toastmasters has helped me, how ballroom has helped me, how my family has helped me. And that includes my dance family, my Toastmasters family, my family. So, yeah, right now I'm structuring it, but I'm putting myself on a timeline. And Rita, you've got to keep me honest to make sure that I meet that timeline. So I'm going to look
Oh,
to
you
you for
got it.
that.
You absolutely got it. Absolutely. And
Cool.
actually, if you want to talk about different styles and all that other stuff, I'm more than happy to talk with you about that too, because that book being a success will help so many men and women. I could just say women, but that's not true. It will help men too, who are struggling to help a woman who doesn't really quite know what to do. And just the very essence of what you say right there, which is like being into Toastmasters, ballroom dancing. I mean, really grabbing onto life at different areas is such a learning opportunity for other people to understand that. So your book success is the salvation, I think, for a lot of women that are out there. And I think that that's really neat.
I appreciate that. And this is not going to be a medical book. Just in doing research, everybody's always talking about the medical stuff behind it. uh, that's not what it is. There's too much written on that anyway. So there are
Yeah,
a lot of really good books, and the last thing I want to do is add to that without really having the knowledge. I want to talk more about my approach and my approach was, I mean, just to always have a positive outlook. So, I mean, during the whole chemo thing, I didn't even want to hear that your dog was sick. No negative stories was my mantra. So, if anybody started down the path of, well, I want to tell you about my neighbor's best friend who did, and I would even stop my mother and say, is this a positive story? And then she would switch topics.
there you go.
If it was something about her neighbor having another hip surgery, I mean, even that, I mean, just I was scared, but I just didn't want to think about anything negative. And I would say the same thing after the heart surgery. I just want to keep thinking forward. So when people say, well, how has COVID affected you? Well, I'm very grateful that all this happened before COVID hit, because having visitors in the hospital, including Toastmasters, including dancing, including friends, was so important to me and really helped me get through. I can't imagine having to go through that without people being able to visit. So that's just frightening to me on top of everything else. But to really allow me to look forward and have something to look forward to. I mean, we even I had two friends come and join me in the hospital, and we toasted on New Year's Eve. It was sparkling juice, but we had it in these plastic little cups. So it looked like wine and champagne, but it really wasn't. But just to grab life by the horns, and just I was just so excited to get back and get to it and do all those things that I want to do and just move forward. So I think it's really more my approach that apparently seems to be different, because a lot of people want to do all the medical research, and to me, I trust my doctors. So I'm not going to second guess. Somebody said, well, you should be on a different kind of different kind of medicine. Like, well, even in the commercials they're saying, if you're in this situation, don't take this. Right. So yeah, I trust my doctors. So to me, it's all about the approach and just grabbing life, and yeah, how to think past what's actually going on. I think
Sure.
that's my concept.
That's a great concept, and it's one that is contagious. So it would be good for you to do that. I just chatted you a possible title for your book, which, just just between we girls. So, well, I mean, to me, this is the kind of story that just is, uh, everybody on the planet should know it. In fact, when I spoke to Tony and Tony first told me about the meningitis and the heart issue, and he told me you were writing a book about your breast cancer, and I was kind of like, I was speechless because I thought to myself, wow, that is so powerful. And it's like, it's just, I don't even know how to describe it, but I just want to keep you living that, I mean, it's just so that we all see it and enjoy it and get so much out of it. So what do you think about District 101?
I think District 101 is awesome. It's still a baby.
Yes.
I mean, just going back and doing the research initially for the podcast, I mean, that was only 2016.
Yeah.
Wow. For some reason, I keep thinking it's been around longer, but yeah, I live right on the border between 101 and 4. I live in Mountain View.
Uh-huh.
So, but yeah, I think it's awesome. And actually, through this journey, and now taking on the PRM role, I've met so many fascinating people that I didn't even know previously. So yeah, because there was that kind of that a little bit of a break for some reason. Yeah, where I just wasn't a member of as many clubs, and now I'm becoming the joiner again and joining more clubs, specifically in 101. So it's awesome. It's there's so much energy in moving forward, and actually a lot of creative ideas. And yeah, whereas we kind of started social media back in my PRO days, I would say we're all leveraging it and taking advantage of it and trying to be super creative. And so the ideas that I'm getting from a lot of different people are amazing. So it's so fun. And the podcast is one of those ideas. So it's so much fun to see so many creative people wanting to be part of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just keep learning every day in different aspects. So it's been a growth opportunity as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I think, what keeps it kicking for me in Toastmasters is that we're learning all the time. And the minute that you say that you're not learning, just go to bed, get up, and you'll see that you really have more to learn. Really.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, for you, actually, Toastmasters is a bit of a family affair, right? So you've dragged the whole rest of your family into Toastmasters, but I think very willingly, from what I understand. So talk a little bit about that, because it's time to focus more on you.
Well, I don't know how willingly it was, but what I realized once I was in Toastmasters, I thought to myself, man, if I could have done this in high school, in college, in my mid 20s, anytime before I finally joined, I would have, I think, benefited from it amazingly so. So I decided that my kids could benefit from it. And at the time, my son was a student at UOP and he was coming home for the summer. And I said to him, so I would really like you to join Toastmasters. I think it would be very good for your thinking skills and how to offer criticism and so forth. And he didn't really want to join at first. And I said to him, so I pay for your college. And if I pay for your college, you go to Toastmasters. And
Awesome.
yeah. And he went to his credit to a club that met at 7 a.m. on Wednesdays. That's pretty early, but he was teaching tennis the rest of the time. And he did very well with it. He came back afterwards, transferred from UOP to USF, and joined the Rhinos Club and was a member there for a while. Also became an area governor for, I think it was 2012, 2013. So he really got into Toastmasters and you could see the benefit. In fact, one day he called me to tell me that Bill Clinton was going to be at this event that was going on. And he said, what should I do? And I said, well, dress nicely, go shake his hand and get a picture. And he was kind of like, okay, I'll do that. And so he went on and did that. Rory, his little sister, my daughter, told him, here's what you should wear, here's what would look good. He wore exactly what she said. And then there was Bill Clinton, what seemed like miles ahead. And Jeremy thought, how am I going to go up there and shake his hand? So he jumps on top of the table and he starts screaming out Bill Clinton's name, Mr. President, Mr. President. He's lucky he didn't get shot. Anyway, Bill Clinton saw him And he said, bring that young man up here. And they brought Jeremy up there and they took a picture together. And it was just wonderful. I mean, I still have that picture, obviously. And the thing is that I said to him, hey, Jeremy, did Toastmasters help you at all with that? And he said, well, I think it gave me more confidence maybe than I normally would have. And from Jeremy, that's a pretty good response. Then you fast forward to Rory. In high school, I opened up a Gavel Club at her high school because they had a budget cut and they were cutting out communications. And I thought, oh my God, this is ridiculous. So they said, go ahead, open up a Gavel Club. I was already there teaching career classes to kids too. So I was just adding that into what I was doing. And I told Rory, I said, you're going to be a part of this club. And she said, I don't want to do it. Now, Rory was my daughter who was mortified of public speaking. If she had to go do a project in front of the class, she would cry on her way to class. She would cry on her way back from class, thinking that it was just so bad. I mean, it was really hard for her. So I felt that she could really use it. So I said, you're going to do it. She didn't want to do it, but she did want a driver's license. So guess what I did? I said to her, you want that driver's license? You'll do Toastmasters. And she did, to her credit. And she grew and blossomed in so many ways. It was exciting for me to see it. And I functioned more as a mentor to that group. They ran their own club and everything. So to watch this from afar, but still close by, was amazing. And not just for Rory, but other students too. Then, amazingly enough, one day she says to me, she was 18, so she had finished Toastmasters about a year before, at least the high school Toastmasters. And she said to me, I want to go do stand-up comedy. I'm thinking to myself, seriously? And, I like to be the encouraging mom. So I said to her, you want to do stand-up comedy? You do it. I said, let me know where you want to do it. I'll take you there. She found an open mic. An open mic, for those who may not know, is where people just basically come you come in, you do your spiel and you leave. And anyway, so we went to the open mic. I sat there not knowing what to expect, but of course, really trying to think the best thoughts for my daughter. And she slayed it. She was hysterical. Everybody was laughing. Everybody, I was laughing, but I'm her mom, right? But everybody else was laughing. It was just, she was hysterical. And when we walked back to the car, we got inside the car. I just looked at her. I mean, I was blown away. And I said, so, waiting to hear what the answer would be on this one. Do you think Toastmasters helped you at all with any of this? And she just flat out said, she said, Mom, if it hadn't been for Toastmasters, I never would have tried doing this sort of thing. She said, I have a lot that I owe to Toastmasters. That is so nice to hear. And she's been doing stand-up. Well, obviously she hasn't been now since March, but she's been doing stand-up in Berkeley, which is where she went to college. She did stand-up. She did some stand-up in San Jose, stand-up again in Santa Cruz. She even had a place where she did an open mic, and a couple of drunk guys started harassing her. And she just twirled them around her little finger and whacked them down. And I asked her about that. I said, that was pretty good how you did that. You didn't get nervous or anything. You just kind of like put them in their place. And she said, well, that's because Jeremy's my big brother.
Oh.
So she had to learn that. And then finally, there's my husband. And what I said to my husband is, for one thing, when we were eating at the table, we would always have our meals together, dinner time. Within no time at all, the conversation would somehow or another come to Toastmasters. We would talk about different things having to do with Toastmasters, etc. Tom was not really involved in those conversations. And I said, you need to be a part of what's going on here. So I think you should join Toastmasters. I said, I don't think anybody loses any skill. I think you can only increase in your skills. And I would highly suggest that you do it. And he did. And he stayed with Toastmasters for quite some time, even helped me open up a club in Santa Cruz, which was nice. And there you go. So, and my big joke is, we had 2 dogs. If the dogs could speak, they would be in Toastmasters. Maybe one day we'll have a Bark Masters Club or something. They could join that.
That's an awesome idea. Well, it's so funny with Toastmasters because like while I was going through chemo, my dad had already passed away. My mother would come to visit me, and you've met her. And yeah, she would go to all of these, deck meetings and ops meetings. But it took about 6 months before she actually saw an actual Toastmasters meeting. And then she's like, now I understand what it's all about. This is cool. Because before that, she only saw the administrative side.
That is so funny. She kind of saw it backwards then.
Yes. Yes. Totally. Totally. Because she was thinking, oh, geez, this is kind of like, back when my dad was on conference calls and things like that. And she'd see me on conference calls. And I think she didn't understand what the attraction was until she actually saw a couple of meetings. And then she got it. Then
Yeah,
she got it. It was fun.
nice. So
So
let's see. Other than that, with the kids all being, well, the kids and Tom being in Toastmasters, the only other thing I can say is that whereas once upon a time I would be one of those people that felt like I was being pushy if I would tell people that they should check out Toastmasters. Now it's just a guaranteed with me that whatever it is that I do, it's funny because people will often say, "Do you work for Toastmasters?" Kind of
in
like,
a way, we
no.
do.
Well, I mean, yeah, really. But no, I mean, the big thing is that if you believe in something, you believe in something. That's really what it comes down to. And when you see that something works, and I have always maintained that I could sell ice to an Eskimo if I felt that that was in the Eskimo's best interest. It's just what is thrilling to me. And I see over and over again where our stronger communication skills leads to a stronger who we are ourselves in every shape and form. And who's not for that?
Definitely. And I love your passion about Toastmasters, even from the day I met you. So, yeah, this is, I feel like we have so much more to talk about. We're going to have to do a part two here.
Okay,
Definitely.
I'm for that.
we'll,
Definitely.
we'll have to have a part two, continuing the being outside of the standard operating procedure. But in the
That's good.
meantime,
And then in part two, we'll be talking about your book some more
okay.
because I am going to keep you to task on that.
Okay.
And that I've got stuff that I'm going to send you. And yes, indeed, absolutely. A part two. I like it. The
Awesome.
accountability journey.
You're going to keep me on track here and keep me on schedule because I've been kind of in and out of writing this for so long that this is going to be awesome. So that would really help me. And I have a new mentor. Awesome.
All right.
Well, it's been great getting to know you a lot more about your family too. Because I mean, yeah, I've met your kids, and yeah, Jeremy a little bit. I've seen him more often than your daughter, but yeah, it's great to hear how you got everybody involved. And we'll keep an eye out for the Bark Masters. That'd be a lot of fun.
I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for joining us, and hope our listeners enjoyed this conversation. This is definitely a little bit more on the intimate side than we normally do, but I love it. So thanks so much.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
Tune in next time and email us at pr@d101tm.org with questions that our district leaders can answer in future podcasts. And if you miss an episode, you can review them all at www.d101tm.org/destination-101.